What's up, folks? It is Ty Cole with another episode of With Love with Ty Cole. And I feel like I keep getting more people who I love on the show. And today's guest is someone who I love. He's a force, he's bold, he's brilliant, and completely redefining what it means to take up space, especially on Broadway. Now, at just 27, he made history as the youngest Black American playwright to have a show on Broadway with Ain't No Mo, earning multiple Tony nominations and critically acclaimed. But beyond those accolades, he's a storyteller. You definitely know him on the Miss Pat show. And he's a storyteller who challenges, provokes, and tells the kind of truths that linger long after the curtains close. Please welcome the incomparable Jordan E. Cooper. Is
What's
that
up?
good?
Yeah, that was great. That was great. You did that. You did
You know, I
that.
rehearsed it twice, so
Come
I
on.
hope that it
It
came out the
worked.
third time was the charm.
It
Now,
was good. It was good.
you know what I heard was good, and I saw you was there last night. Now, Jordan, you
Yeah.
gotta let me know.
Yeah.
Moulin Rouge. Now, I spoke to Kellen Derrick a few weeks
hmm
back. He was telling me little tidbits about the show, the hair, like how it's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing. But you were there, what was that, like opening night last night? I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Megan's first night. Yeah.
Megan's first night, I saw there was a video. You was going in there with Queen Latifah. Y'all had a moment. First off, what was that like? Because, the pre-show excitement, you're seeing the folks, and I mean, walking into the Broadway play with Queen Latifah is kind of crazy.
I know. I know. She's just such dope people. Like, first of all, she's an icon. And like I remember even being a little kid and being like infatuated with her and how she like legitimized anything she was in was like legitimate in my household because Queen Latifah was in it.
Hmm.
And just to like, be able to call her friend and homie and she's a really special spirit. And I'm so glad that I got to be there for like the rap dynasty, you know what I mean? For Megan being on Broadway and then Queen Latifah just there to support is just like
It's
it's
kind of
amazing.
crazy too because Queen Latifah kind of took the same route to an extent. Like she
Yes,
bounced
yes.
off from being a rapper. I don't want to just limit her to that. An artist, because she's had a jazz
hmm
album, she's done many things.
Yeah,
So from her
yeah,
being just a music artist to being this like household phenomenon in the Hollywood space doing rom-com
yeah,
to seeing Megan doing that is honestly crazy. And then I
yeah,
feel like there were so many iconic people in the room. You got Queen Latifah making that jump, Megan being the new modern version doing that, you youngest playwright. Like I just felt like it was nothing but royalty. So what did that room feel like? Like who else was up in there? What were the vibes? Like I need to know.
yeah. It was electric. I saw a few people. I saw Leslie Odom Jr. I saw Tiffany Haddish. I saw Todrick Hall.
Oh,
I
we love that.
saw so many people who just like came out just to literally just to support Megan. And it was nice to like watch her like get to be herself. You know what I mean? Like it
Mhm,
was just like
mhm.
so beautiful. Like it was probably the blackest night I've ever had in a Broadway theater. And it
Ah,
was so freeing for me because it's like that's the experience that I try to provide in everything that I do. So like to be in a space and then like especially at the end when Megan came out with like her own medley of songs.
I
It just
saw
felt like
that. I think someone caught that and put it
yeah.
on the X.
Yeah, it was a special moment. It was almost like this is for you. You know what I mean? Because often in Broadway spaces, you're a lot of times, I'm like one of five black people in the entire building. And
Hmm.
so there's something about being in a Broadway space and then all of a sudden, your girl is not only on stage, but she gets to, share some of her magic too. Yeah.
I'm saying. And honest reaction. Because Megan is playing Zidler, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
hmm
she's playing Zidler. She did some medley of her own records, but acting wise, you got to see your first reaction, honest take. How did Megan do on her Broadway debut?
She did good. She did. I've seen some Broadway debuts where it's like you can tell that they are one nervous, or
Hmm.
you can tell. that they needed one more day of rehearsal, or you can tell, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
she didn't give any of that. She was like, it was to the point where I was like, girl, how long have you been rehearsing this? Like, when did you come out to New York and start rehearsing? Because it's just refreshing to see, because you never know when, celebrities are stepping in the roles that, and they're not really actors, you know what I mean? So it's like you never know how much respect they're going to bring to the
Hmm.
party. And she came on that stage with so much respect for the art form and just came out and like just like blazed it and like killed it like she was already been doing it 8 times a week. And I was like, come on, girl.
Now, I
Like,
know you can't spoil too much because obviously we want to put butts in the seats and we want to go see it.
yes.
I'm going to get my
Yeah.
ticket, but is there a
Yeah.
moment in the show, not even her medley, is there a moment in the show where it just
Mhm.
shows Megan's range as like an actor? That
Oh,
you
yes.
really
Yes.
forgot
She
Megan was Megan Thee Stallion and it gave like I think her last name was what, Pete? It gave Megan Pete, the
uh
actress.
it was just like her comedy chop. Like she's really good at comedy.
Okay.
Um, and she understands beats and she understands like when to move her head this way or when to make that facial expression or when to like what I mean or when to give us a quick you know what I mean
Yeah.
like
Okay.
like she was a good time for sure.
I need to go
Yeah.
see it. I need the folks who are watching this, go get your butts in them seats and go see it. Now, Broadway has been historically, gate kept,
Yes.
especially from us. You know what I mean? I want to know what did it mean to not just enter that space because you are kind of reshaping it in your own voice. Like you're not really following those like traditional order of steps. So how does it feel to kind of like reshape it and like kind of like change the game with your own hands?
It's amazing. It's like you like never go in with the intention of like, oh, I'm gonna be the first to do this thing or I'm gonna do this it's like no, I just want to create like safe spaces for us and like brave
Right.
spaces and like tell stories that like are specifically for us, you know what I mean? And it's like
Hmm.
of course they're universal, of course everybody can relate, but so often like I was saying I walk into a theater and I feel like this is not for me or I feel like othered because I am one of 5 Black people in some way shape or form.
Right.
And so it's like I try to create work where it's like no, like I don't write with white supremacy in mind. I don't write with like this idea that like I'm trying to get the white people to understand this joke or that joke. It's like, no, it's just write it and they gonna come to the table just like we gotta come to the table with their stuff, you know?
Yeah. And that's, I feel like how we need to operate too. Like, I think that we have
Yeah.
to create things with us in mind and not really with them in mind. They'll just
Yeah,
follow the train afterwards. And I think what's also wonderful is you sit on the Tony Awards nominating committee.
I
And I
do.
think now, are there more of us in that committee, or could there potentially be a little bit more work?
I think there's more work to do everywhere, but I think the committee has done a really good job of diversifying
Okay, good.
the nominating committee. Um, like even the fact that I'm on there is still like what? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like there's some really great artists and some really great people who are on that committee, and we always run into each other at shows and things like that. And it's really diverse. So I'm actually very proud of them for that because they do a good job trying to. But we could always do better in all areas every time.
We could. And how does it feel to go from, someone watching from the outside, from the outskirts? Because I feel like when I watch your career, it kind of reminds me of me in a way. Like,
Mm,
one, I think we're the same age or like around the same age, but
yeah.
it just, the rise of how, like, I don't want to say how quickly you trajected, but like the order of steps was like pretty like fast and vast. So now, like, you're
Mhm.
sitting on these committee boards, you're running a multi-nominated Emmy series with the Miss Pat show, like, and now you're sitting on this committee, which, people, they wait years. Like
Yeah.
sometimes they're not up on the
Yeah.
tier like 40, 45 to
Yeah.
like, all of that stuff. So how does it feel to go from watching from the outside to someone who literally helps define what and I'll use this in quotes, excellence could look like.
Mhm. It's wild. Like to
Yeah.
me, the Tony Awards were like my first access to Broadway because I lived in Texas. You know, I grew up in Texas, so we didn't really have access to Broadway like that. So I would watch the Tony Awards every year, and
Mm,
just get my little dose of Broadway and get my little dose of musical theater and what was going on in New York. And to
love
now,
that.
have done Broadway and gotten 6 Tony nominations from my play Ain't No Mo, and then getting on the Tony committee. It's like it's a dream for real. Like it's definitely Little Jordan is like yes,
Love
so
that.
so grateful. Yeah, so grateful.
You've also achieved many milestones. People spend lifetimes chasing, like I said, like before 30 years old. I mean, you also were featured on Forbes 30 under 30. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's a huge, huge feat right there, honey. Which you already know. What didn't success prepare you for? Because I feel like a lot of times
Mhm.
we're not like you don't think about that. Like you want it
Right.
until it happens, and you're not thinking like, oh my God, like how am I gonna prepare? How am I gonna really sit in this? So what has
Mm.
success prepared you for that you are now grasping and learning today?
Housing success really for. Um, I think that the biggest lesson that I learned was probably when I was on Broadway first time. It was like the idea that you work so hard as a theater artist, especially
Hmm.
to like get to Broadway, right? You think Broadway is like that's the you know what I mean? That's the top of the ladder.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think I had this idea that, I'm the kind of artist who like I hand out flyers for my stuff on subways. I'll hand out flyers in Times Square. I'll go to churches to make announcements. Like I'm like get the people in. And I
Get
think that
in.
when I got to Broadway, I thought because it was the top of the ladder that I wouldn't have to work as hard in that area. I
Right,
thought that like the systems would like kind of, be built for that already. And the reality was they weren't, you know what I mean? It was like I still had to be out in the street. Because the reality is nobody's gonna push your stuff like you push your stuff. And then also you got to work just as hard in the valley as you do on the mountain. It's like because
mm,
I thought that like when I got to Broadway, all I had to do was focus on the work being the best it could possibly be. Like
right.
just make sure you give them a great show.
I love.
But there's the business that lives around the great show, right? And it's
Right,
like you got to make sure. Like I think the biggest lesson for me was like, make sure you're never in the back seat of your own car. Like even though you're like somewhere and you know that there are structures in place of how things traditionally go, make
right.
sure that you're there to like break that up. And it's like, yeah, that may be how we do it, in the
Yeah,
past, but this is how we do it now,
future. Now and in the
Yeah,
future.
exactly.
And I feel like there's, so much fearlessness about your work. I think when I see you, I feel like you're like a creative disruptor. You
Mhm.
know, I think that
Yeah.
you come in, you give layered themes and stories, and you're giving us nuanced conversations that we haven't really thought about. So, where did that audacity come from? Because my friend and I were talking about this recently, and I was telling her I was nervous to reach out to someone for something that I really wanted.
Uh-huh.
And she said, why are you nervous? And I was like, well, like, I don't know if I should go through that route. I think that maybe that order of step isn't what is used to us doing. And she
Uh-huh.
said, you need to lean into having audacity all year long.
Mm.
And I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like you have that. So where did that come from?
Yeah. I always call it the audacity of a fool.
Hmm.
Like there's something about an intentional foolishness,
Right,
unlike an ignorant foolishness, which is just, you're just moving around willy-nilly. But intentional foolishness is like you're going through, even though everybody else says you shouldn't, or sometimes even your brain says you shouldn't.
Right.
you still do it because it's you know what I mean? It's like that's the brave thing to do. As far as where it came from, I feel like I always had it only because like even when I was a kid, when I was like I was right place for the church, and I would get in trouble because I would be writing church business in the play.
Okay.
Like if I heard somebody gossiping or talking about sister so and so don't wash your hands or sister so and so da da da, I
Hmm.
would put it in the play, and so they would like pull my mom aside and be like, "You gotta tell that boy to stop, saying all that in them plays." And I feel like I still do that to this day when it comes to everything that I touch is like saying the thing that should not be said out loud or that people don't want to have to talk about.
Right.
Um, and just doing it because it's like, let's just have a conversation. Like, why not? Like, let's tell
Let's
the
talk
truth.
about
Let's
it.
put it all back. For
You know, I,
real. Yeah.
I think you also do that on the Miss Pat show. Now, I'm sure
Yeah.
you watch and see different takes and people sharing their thoughts. It could be mixed, it could be whatever. You know, because
Yeah.
the show is raw, it's unfiltered, it's like deeply human. And people may have split opinions on some of the subject matters, the trauma that it kind of just like brings and just like kind of puts in your face.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
when you see that commentary and that discourse, like you as a creative, do you feel satisfied even when people are in disagreement with like, man, like why would he put that specific thing on there? Why was that dialogue specifically like this? Like what goes through your mind
Mhm.
as a creative when you see, positives, but also those negatives too?
Yeah. It's usually something where it's satisfying because I
Mm.
think about all the things while I'm making it. So
Right.
usually it's like I think about all the possible rebuttals or all the possible perspectives or all the possible things and still
Hmm.
doing it with intentionality.
Okay.
So it's like usually when I see somebody say something negative, it's because either they missed what was there or
Right.
they're not interested in what was there. Right. So
Mm.
like sometimes there are conversations that I'm trying to have that sometimes people just are not interested in having that conversation because of their own, their own stuff that they got to work out with or they don't want to engage with.
Correct.
Like when it comes to queerness or when it comes to abortion or when it comes to, we had a episode this season that dealt directly with the president, with Donald Trump and ICE. And it got pulled twice by the network. You know what I mean? We had to fight to really push that on the air. So it's like I feel like that's the point is like of art is you want to make people feel something. It's when they don't feel anything is when I would be concerned. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like you want to make them feel something. Whether it's they feel seen, whether it's they, are offended, or whether it's they just don't get it. Like a lot of people talk about the cussing, right? A lot of
Mm.
people say, why they gotta cuss so much? Or why da 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 da. And the reality is that it's not like a forced machine cursing. All I wanted to do was treat because to me, sitcoms with a live studio audience is just a good play with cameras. And
Yeah.
in theater, right, in theater, we don't have these restrictions of you can't say nigger or you
No.
can't say fuck or you can't say, we don't have these restrictions. So all I'm doing is giving the freedom and the liberation of theater and putting it on television because we never get to see a real Black American family just like talk how we talk. You know what I mean? Like it's not some sanitized version of and that's the thing that I was most interested in when I created it was
Right.
I wanted to experiment to see if a rated R sitcom could work in front of a live studio audience.
Hmm.
And it ended up working. It
I
ended up
mean, you're
working.
5 seasons
Yeah.
in. So,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
season six,
Yeah.
right? I think we got renewed. Am I mistaken?
We gonna find out. We gonna see what the
Oh,
people say. I think
okay.
so. I think
I
so. That's what
I
the
have a
streets are saying.
high feeling
That's
that
what
we're
the
getting season
streets are
six, but
saying.
season six will now, because I believe we're getting rid of the BT Plus and all the shows are moving to now just Paramount.
Yep.
So does that, affect anything in any kind of way, or does that maybe help in a kind of way?
I think it helps with audience because it's, I think, BT had a certain amount of subscribers. I think like maybe like between 5 and 7 million.
Mm.
And Paramount has about 85. So there's something about it becoming global in a way, because one of the things that people always ask from like London or Canada is like, how can we watch this? Why isn't this here? Why isn't this there? New Zealand.
Yeah.
And now people can actually be able to experience, these characters and these stories on a global scale, which is like really, really dope. Like really, really dope.
Yeah, you deserve that. Listen, the next time y'all do a casting call, okay, you let
Come
Ty Cole
on.
know. Send me
Okay,
a
come
DM.
on.
I'm gonna come on audition. Listen, my time, I need to be on this show before, y'all want to wrap it up. Like, I need to be a part.
Okay,
The
come
show is
on.
so layered. And I think it was IndieWire. IndieWire said the show changes the game for sitcoms. And you kind of touched on it a little bit. I know you guys had to break a lot of rules and push things to get on the network, especially with the Ice episode, which, well done, honey. What
Thank you.
rules did you also intentionally have to break? Like, what rules were you maybe afraid of breaking? And what rules were you not really afraid of breaking and saying, you know what, F it, like, I need this on the air if this is gonna make for a good story.
Yeah. There's rarely a thing that I look at a rule and say, let me not break that. Rarely.
Okay.
Especially if it's something that is, I think, actually progresses the story forward. And Pat will tell you this, I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter. I'm a nuisance. So like if I believe in something, I am not stopping until it is done.
Right.
And I will call whoever I need to call and pest whoever I need to pest. Um, because I think the thing about art like this is it's necessary. People forget that television is a tool.
It is.
You are able to, put conversations in spaces where people otherwise would have never had those conversations, and
Hmm.
possibly expand someone's empathy because they're being introduced to a character or to a situation that is nothing like them, or they nothing like anybody that they know, but
Right.
now they know because of this story. Um, and so like there are all kinds of things that we do like on a story level of like, the idea of like a woman having an abortion within marriage and not telling her husband, or you
Hmm.
know what I mean? We had a whole story where her youngest son, a Junebug, was like dating or was trying to date a 29-year-old when he was like 16. But because it was a young man and a woman, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Is that really inappropriate because he wants it? But it's like, no, that's
No,
actually
it's
sexual assault.
inappropriate as hell. Right. Like, it's
That's actually
actually
a problem.
disgusting.
Right, right, right. And like comparing like why is it accepted when it's a young man, but it's problematic when it's a young woman? things things like that, being able to have these hard conversations, but then also the technical aspects of the show that I wanted to break, right? Like I
Right.
wanted to make sure that like people didn't think I was sitting in the back pressing a laugh button with a laugh track,
Mm.
like making an audience laugh. And it's like, no, I want to turn the camera around and show you this audience. I want you to see that this is a real audience. We're not making them laugh, we're not telling them to laugh. This is just a
Right.
live event that you get to be privy to.
And
um,
enjoy.
even, exactly, exactly. Now, even things like the magical realism, we play with magical realism a lot in terms of flashbacks for past childhood. And, with Tommy Davison's character, we call him Nigga Poppins, who just like pops in and flies away sometimes. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They're just all, because I just feel like this is the thing, it's television and we know it's television. So why not just give a show? Why,
And
you
have
know?
fun.
Yeah, just give a
I will
show.
say the storyline I was really interested in, I said, oh, we're taking it there. Um, it was two, actually.
Hmm.
It was one with Janelle's character,
Hmm.
and she's dating the teacher, or so she
Yes.
thought.
Yeah.
And I love that one because it's unfortunately a real thing. These
Yeah.
professors are supposed to be these caretakers of these children because it doesn't matter if you're 18, 19, 20, 21. I'm about to be 30 on Sunday.
Come on,
And
happy birthday.
thank you, Aries season. I appreciate it.
Hey.
And I feel like I personally feel like I was still a kid. And I feel like now I'm about to be 30, and now I feel like I'm more of an adult. So I
Hmm.
love that storyline. And then I also love the one when it came to Terry's, birth
Hmm.
father, who is
Yeah,
now, well, now his mother, basically.
yeah, yeah,
And what I love too is, first of all, you brought an amazing, iconic veteran who I discovered on the Cheetah Girls. And you
yes.
told such a fabulous story. So when you think of the themes of this season and the beautiful response that people are
Mm.
just like getting from that, do you just sit back and pat yourself on the back and say, damn, like I did that? Like, or are you like thinking of like, all right, how can we keep expanding it and how can we keep doing this for season six? Like,
Yeah.
what are those juices feeling like?
It's usually the latter. Like at first, it's like I'm one of those people who like I just keep moving. I'm like, let's keep
Hmm.
growing, let's keep shifting, let's keep, But sometimes it takes rewatching it or because I also edit them. So I'm with these episodes intimately, right?
Yeah,
So it's and you're like working in this kind of microcosm. Sometimes when it's out in the world, you see people's responses and it means that you like it forces me to take a second and be like, no, that was actually I did what I came to do there. You know what
right.
I did? You know what I mean? Like it was, and that storyline in particular was one that I've been planning for like the last 3 seasons, and I just wanted to wait until the right time to be able to do it because I wanted to do it right. But I knew that the character was trans for years, and I was finally able to like have everything aligned, and then getting Sandra Caldwell, like what was so cool about her is, she had been working in stealth for so many years. Like in the 1970s, like, nobody knew she was trans. She played, Mr. T's wife and Louis Gossett Jr.'s wife, and, did all the tons of movies and television shows, and just came out as trans in 2018. Nobody knew, right?
Yeah, I
And
was
so
like, wow, I didn't even know.
yeah, yeah. And she's like 75 now, I believe. And what
Hmm.
was so beautiful was that, when she shot the scene between her and Terry, and I was directing, it was very emotional. It was living in a very raw place for her, to the point where after we said cut, like, she just started to cry. She had a moment and she had to go to the back, and then you just saw all of the cast go back there and like wrap their arms around her, and then the audience clapped, and it was a beautiful moment because what I didn't realize was that was her first time being able to play a trans character on screen.
Yeah.
For so many years she had to live in fear of like, is somebody gonna catch me today, is somebody gonna find out, is somebody gonna, is this
Yeah.
gonna be my last job? And what was so beautiful was that, she sent me a letter saying, this was one of the first times I got to walk on a set and not fear that this was going to be my last job, you know. Um,
And you
and so
like,
it was a really
uh,
beautiful moment.
Jordan, you are creating not only cultural moments, but safe spaces for people. Like, do you recognize that? Or are you in autonomy mode? Because I'm like that. Like, I sometimes don't realize
Yeah,
the impact that I may be having on people, like when I'm doing the show, when I'm
yeah,
doing things for other publications. And then I think about it later. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was impactful. I didn't realize that. Do you have that kind of moment where you're like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, like I did that? Or do you live
Absolutely.
it?
I'm not, yeah. No, I'm the same way. It's hard for me to live in. I do move with intention though, in terms of like wanting it to feel safe, like wanting
Yeah.
it to feel like I would say I want everything to feel like a cookout. You know what I mean? Like there
Yeah.
is no respect of persons. You treat number one on the call sheet the same way you treat the person taking out the trash, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like everybody, we're all here as partners to create a collective experience for the world to see. Um,
Exactly.
and so I try to make sure that it is a safe space, just in general, of like feeling like, I belong here,
Hmm.
um, versus like I'm tolerated here.
Right.
And so I do try to move with intention with that, but like I rarely look back on something and be like, wow, that was a moment. And
Yeah.
I want to do that more, of like stopping and be like, whew, we made that, we did
We
that,
did that.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And like just to be able to carry on the legacy of, I think about, the All in the Family, and I think about, the works that Norman did in the beginning, and we got to be friends toward the end of his life, Norman Lear. But he was a fan of the show, which was huge.
Right.
But one of the last things he said to me was, um, it was his birthday, and I was just like thanking him for all he's done, and I was about to leave, and he just grabbed my heart, my hand so hard, and he just looked me in my eyes and said, "To be continued." Right.
Mm,
And I think about that in terms of like the work that I do. It's like, how do you continue to disrupt using the tool of television, using the tool of theater, using the tool of film? How do you continue to push us a little bit forward so we're a little bit better off than we were before I started? In some way, shape, or form.
yeah. As you continue to change the landscape of Broadway and television, and I would say to an extent, even like Hollywood, you know what I'm saying? What part of the game still frustrates you the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think what's frustrating, but I also recognize that it's just a part of the journey.
Yeah.
Is it always starts with no? It always starts with no. Everything that I've ever done has started from the Miss Pat show. We were dropped by a whole network. They who filmed the pilot originally, and then they dropped it because it was too black. Because this was before they had Onyx, and this was right when Disney was coming on, and
Hmm.
we were getting notes like "What is a kitchen?" and like we were getting all kind of crazy stuff. To the point where at one point I had to tell the people like, this is one of the things I said. I was like, you keep on telling me you don't understand this or you don't understand that, but like you can't tell me to change the recipe before my people taste the cake. That's one of the things that I always say. But you know, I I try to remember that sometimes no is the green light. Like it's the internal green light.
Yeah,
Because of course they didn't understand the vision because it was not their vision, it was your vision,
it was your vision.
right? So you have to believe in the vision and teach them how to believe in it. And
Yeah.
so whether it was the Miss Pat show, whether it was Ain't No Mo, like so many times I heard no and had the door slammed. And it's about the persistence. It's about continuing on. And that's the thing that I've always held with me. It's like understanding, recognizing that when you're trying to do something that has not been seen,
Right.
right, in a new way, usually the first thing you're going to hear is no.
I can agree. Even with the show, I've gotten
Mm-hmm.
some guests at first who were just like, we know you, we love you and know you, but we also know you on those other platforms. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't really know about this one. And it took for having people who trusted it and give me those yeses. Like
Yeah.
I had asked, and this is a question I'm gonna ask you. I had asked Megan Good, and she was like,
Mm.
absolutely, and popped on there. Jordan Sparks, like there were people who said yes, and then there were some who, at first was like side-eyeing it, and then they said
Hmm.
yeah. Like I just saw something with Scott Evans in his show, and at first
Hmm.
Quinta Brunson said no. And
Yeah.
now they're planning on her getting there. So you've had an array of stars pop in. I mean, this season, Loretta Devine, Tisha Campbell. I mean,
Yeah.
you got SWV also singing on the damn show, which I think is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there a celeb at first who was like, not right now, or no, and you later did get them?
Oh, that's a great question. Was there anybody who said no? And I later got them. No, I feel like one thing that I'm grateful for is
Okay.
that I feel like every guest star, first of all, I usually know exactly who I want.
Hmm.
And I am grateful that I would say 98% of them always say yes. Even before the show was like well known, Tommy
Okay.
Davidson, said yes first season. And then second season, we got Jaleel White. on there, and we got Marla Gibbs on there, and we got
Raven
all
Simone,
these
honey.
right Raven Simone, like just like and Raven is just like just she's my heart in so many ways, even from when I was a kid and still.
Uh,
But it's yeah, it's amazing. Like little Jordan cannot believe, and I feel like it's my opportunity to give flowers to these black people who built television and don't always get the energy or the accolades that they deserve. And I feel like it's an
yeah.
opportunity for them to like tip the hat. You know what I mean? It's
Ah,
like
yeah.
it's really really cool. That and being able to get people do to say these iconic lines like I got Flex Alexander when he was on there, and I got him to like say the lines from the One on One theme song. I got Keith Robinson Jr. on there to say lines from We Are Family,
Mm-hmm,
from Dreamgirls.
mm-hmm.
I got Jaleel White on there saying "Did I do that?" I got Marla Gibbs on there saying "fuck." You know what I mean?
No, you gagged me when I heard Marla say fuck. I said, oh, not just got Marla cussing on here. Not Miss Gibbs cussing up on here.
Loretta, because this be the gag. Is that the gag is people be so shocked to be like they forcing them because I'm like y'all don't realize that most of these people cuss
No, they
like
do.
you just don't hear them cuss but it's like
Yeah.
they be excited like actors be excited like I don't think you understand like especially like people from like the UPN era or like the like they're like wait we can say fucking
Fuck.
nigga and bitch.
Okay.
They be
Yes,
so excited.
I think what gagged me, I saw episode, I think Raven was cussing up on there. I
Yes,
said, not Raven
yes,
Baxter, but it was so good because I think that we put these people in these like, these certain politics,
yeah, yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for? What are those politics? What?
Respectability politics.
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like we group them in that, and then when we hear them do that, we're just
yeah,
like we're so posh, but it's like, babe, you be at work, really, posh and polished
yeah.
up, and you go home with your homegirl, be
Exactly,
like, bitch, fuck that. Like, you know what I'm
exactly,
saying? Like, so I feel like we
exactly.
have
It's
that,
it's like
have
a
that in our home.
liberation, it's like I love to provide spaces of liberation, and there's
Hmm.
something about giving these actors, especially black actors, who for so long were being puppeteered by these white executives and these white writers and these white networks,
Have it,
can
honey.
then come over here in this black aspects. We have black camera men, we have black camera women, we have, you know what I mean? Like it's you just don't see that. You just don't see that.
Yeah.
And they're always so surprised when they feel like they go to another universe because they're like, what the hell is y'all doing over here? You
Having a good
know?
time.
Exactly.
Is there
Exactly.
anyone you want for season six? Because I'm a big manifester, and I know
Come
whenever
on.
I manifest, 98.9% of the
Yes.
time it happens. So when you
Yes.
get that season six, like, is
Hmm.
there somebody who you like, okay, it's already in my Rolodex in my mind, we got to get them for the next season.
I'm trying to get Cardi on there because I heard she was a fan of the show.
Okay.
Um, I also heard Shaka Khan was a fan of the show. So I'm trying
Jordan. Now you get Cordy and Shaka
to.
Khan, honey. You know what? Someone else
Boy,
on there? I don't think I got her on there
cool.
yet. I feel like Tony Braxton and Monica.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That would be good on there.
Yeah. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's gonna be crazy. In my mind, I'm thinking Monica, you know how every role she mostly has played like a waitress in like a restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
This one
Mm-hmm.
feels like, what if she was a waiter? Like just she
Come
just popped
on.
in. Like let's just
Just pop
let's
on
just
by.
keep
Right.
the sequence and all that going on.
Or she could kick down the door and smack a trick.
She could, because you could play on the hello. She could
Mm-hmm.
be so
Mm-hmm.
gone over
Yeah.
you. You
For
know what?
you.
Yeah.
Yes,
We're gonna
yes,
manifest it. We're
yes,
gonna say
yes, yes,
Tony,
yes.
we're gonna say
Uh-huh.
Monica, we're gonna say Shaka,
Uh-huh.
and we're gonna say
Mm-hmm.
Porty B.
That's it. I'll take
Let's
it.
let's take it.
That's
Now,
how you get.
you're telling Black stories in ways that don't always feel quote unquote safe, right? Because
Mhm.
again, we're opening up those layers and we're peeling things back. And
Right.
sometimes when you had to look at yourself in the mirror, it ain't always safe. So, have
Yeah.
you ever been asked to soften your work before? And did
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And no.
you?
Oh, no, 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 I can't do like
No.
yeah, no, no. Like I said, I'm a fight. If I believe in, that's one thing. If I get a no, if somebody says a no and says you might not have to move here because boom, right?
Hmm.
That's different.
Okay.
Rather than this makes me uncomfortable, or that's too much, or you can't say it like that, or that's
Right.
too. That's when I don't. That's when
We
I don't.
can't do that.
No, no, because it's gotta come from a place of truth, and truth sometimes is uncomfortable, you
Yeah.
know.
I
Um.
love that.
So yeah,
No.
yeah, no, no. I think that's the yeah,
Okay. And I
no.
know that you definitely give me a person who can take feedback and constructive feedback, especially in like your own writing room.
Absolutely,
Is
absolutely.
there a note that you've received that actually made your work better, even if you may not have wanted to hear it at first?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, um, trying to think of one. Absolutely. Um, I can't think of anything specific.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I believe that like I don't have the monopoly on good ideas, right? So it's like
Hmm.
I think it's about like if somebody has an idea that's better than you,
Right.
take the idea. Like we're all in the same car, we all driving the same car, we all in this thing
We all
together,
in this
right?
together,
So it's
baby.
like so it's like you can't operate out of a place of ego of like I said it, so I know, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
If you're saying that what you believe is stronger, you truly believe is stronger, do it.
Right.
If what they're saying is stronger than what you originally said, do it.
Do it.
Yeah,
Either way, just do it.
yeah.
Now, what you did do, which I love, peaches. Now,
Yeah,
I didn't even realize it was you. Even in the voice. It didn't really give Jordan, which I think that
yeah.
this shows true testament to you as a full artist. Playing peaches required you to embody a full beat,
Yes, it
a
did.
wig,
Yes, it did.
honey,
Yes,
nice
it
little
did.
glued
Yes, it did.
lace,
Yes, it did.
comedic timing, and
Yeah.
so much more. What did that role unlock in you personally and creatively?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, Pieces was a lot of fun. I had to get that makeup done, so I had to be at the theater 2 hours before everybody else, just to
Mhm.
like get that beat done. Because I don't know how to do makeup, so I was so definitely was,
Baby,
you
you
know,
had it laid and slayed, honey. I said, oh, now who
listen,
did
listen. That was
Jordan's
a
makeup?
team. Listen, that was an army of people who held that waist together.
Okay.
Shout out Kirk Dell Cambridge because he is like a beast at
A
makeup.
beast.
But yeah, um, but it was like Peaches was a moment for me mainly
Mhm.
because I had never written a queer character up until that point. And I
Okay.
think I had so much internalized homophobia from growing up, black and queer in the South, that
Mm. So
moving to
you
New
had the
York,
internalizing phobia.
absolutely, like it wasn't until I moved to New York that I realized that like I could just be and
Okay.
nobody cared. And I never written a queer character. And Stevie Wahoo, who was the director of NMO, he was like, Jordan, he was like, when you gonna write a queer character? And I was like, queer character. I was like, why would I write a queer character? I ain't got no reason to write a queer character. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then, literally, maybe like that same month, I started this experiment of writing a character that was the blackest, gayest version of myself.
baby.
and it
Peaches
manifested in
gang.
Peaches. And then this idea, because as you know, like Black queer folks are usually the leaders of the culture.
We are.
So it was important that like it's this idea that, everybody in America, all these Black people in America are leaving America and going back to Africa. And of course, the person that they have to go through who's carrying them on to this next version of freedom is this Black queer person.
Correct.
Um, and so I think I just learned so much about freedom from Peaches. I learned so much about like liberation and like, as men, we're not like raised to embrace femininity. We're not raised to like embrace like hair and nails and what I mean, switching the hip and the dip and the step. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that there was something about allowing that to like live through my
Flow.
body. Yeah, that was like, oh snap, like this is a liberated being, and it was really really cool. I miss that bitch.
We love that bitch, Peaches. And I think
Right,
when I
right,
think of
right.
Peaches, because there's so many layers of us as queer people, I think we're in a time right now where we are really like living out loud. I mean,
Yeah.
Duran Bernard with that Grammy,
Hmm.
and Duran don't
Hmm.
switch. Well, he do switch, no pun intended, but he don't switch up for nobody. Okay,
Right.
to see the multitude of queer people in your realm. I mean, we have you, we have myself, we have Duran Bernard, we have Terrell, and then the list continues. How happy are you to see that? Because, again, we didn't really get to see that back in the day. And now I just feel like everywhere you
No.
look, there's us
Yeah.
and hands in a
Yeah.
pot and doing this and doing that. So, how happy are you to have come along so far from being that internalized homophobic being to now being your full self and seeing others being their full
Yeah.
selves?
It's amazing. Like, I feel so blessed to be able to call all of those people friends and colleagues, and, because it's like, I wish I got to see that growing up. I wish I got to like
Same.
see Black queer folks doing the damn thing. And I feel like, how like we talk about post civil rights movement, the first really group of successful Black people happened in the 80s and 90s, like in terms of like being able to be global on a global scale. When we think about the Oprahs and we think about the Eddie Murphys and we think about, the Will Smith, and we think of how like they were kind of like the vanguard in that way. And
Hmm.
I feel like now we're experiencing the Black queer version. We're
Yes.
experiencing the Black queer version of like, no, this is the gate, and we're telling you that you can that the possibilities are limitless. You know,
Yeah, they're endless.
um, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Speaking of endless possibilities, if you could build own, your dream Broadway cast, you only get five. Like you need your
Okay.
five-star
Wait,
player.
we talk. Is there a specific show or just anybody and
You
anything?
know, because that's true. So let's do one that's just comedic.
Okay,
So a comedic Broadway play. And
okay,
then let's do the dramatic. And it could be
okay.
anybody.
Either one of the. Okay, are we talking musical or straight play?
We doing, one musical, one a straight play. How about that?
Okay, okay. I'll make the comedy a straight play.
Okay.
The comedy of straight play. Who am I casting?
Hmm.
I am casting. Oh, that's a great question. Who am I casting? I'm casting Regina Hall
Oh, yes, please,
because
honey, please. Yes.
Regina Hall is just a master. She's just a master. In everything she does. Um,
She need to host
I'm
more.
cast. Yeah, like she does need to host more. Um, I'm casting Regina Hall. I'm casting. Um, Dead or alive or like alive.
Let's do it live.
Let's do it live. I'm casting Regina Hall. I am casting Queen Latifah. I am casting um uh definitely Eddie Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
And who else? I need one more folk. One more folk who like. One more folk
that's really gonna do it.
that's really gonna take me over the edge.
Hmm.
Yeah, it'll probably be Miss Pat. Maybe Miss Pat. All of them
You
together.
need that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Drama.
Okay.
Drama. Musical. I'm definitely putting Jasmine Sullivan.
Oh, them pipes are gonna be so good, honey.
Oh my gosh. I'm definitely putting Fantasia. I'm
Oh,
definitely putting Audra McDonald. I'm definitely putting Cynthia Erivo. Yep.
should I throw my
Yep.
Chelsea boo at the stage now? Or
Right,
oh,
right,
because
right.
I'm gonna give a Miss Patty moment if I see all that shit on the stage. I just think it's gonna be so good. And it's gonna be a loud house, but like in a good way. Like imagine them all just singing at one time.
Yes.
You know who I'll also add in there because you got them big ass vocalists up on the stage?
Who? Who?
I gotta add Jennifer Hudson to make it just louder.
Yes,
Louder and
yes,
grander.
yes. Just louder and grander.
I want
Because
to
people
feel it.
don't sing loud anymore. They don't,
Sing
people don't, this
out!
is my thing. They be talking about Jennifer like Jennifer. I'm like, that's how you sing. If that is
Yes.
your instrument, that is how you sing. I don't know what it is about this new generation where it's like people appreciate beats more than they do vocals. And I'm like, can they sing?
I need
Like,
them to sing. Not talk
yes, I
sing,
need,
not do.
no.
And I love him. You know, this is again no shade to him. Love him down.
Mhm.
But I think we're talk singing like we don't all gotta be a Bryson Tiller. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
Bryson
yeah, yeah.
Tiller ushered in a new
Yeah.
wave, but that doesn't
I'm
mean
doing
we
it
all
right.
gotta jump on that wave. Like
Right.
I want y'all to come from the diaphragm.
Yes,
Like
yes.
Duran. Duran is like a great example of like
But this is
he
the thing. You want me to tell you the difference?
tell me.
The difference is all those singers grew up in the church.
Yes, that's true.
And the church was a place, it was an institution that fostered talent
Yeah,
and foster vocalists.
that's
So
true.
like you knew how to perform at the same time you knew how to walk. You know what I mean? Like it just came with it. And there's a different level of training, there's a different level of endurance. And nowadays, the singers ain't coming out the church. People don't be going to church like that. It's like
He needs
because
to
the
get back
church
to
can,
church.
you know, I know, and the church needs to get back to God.
Yeah. Can we talk about that real quick? Because now I have a select few of pastors that I listen to, and
Uh-huh.
they really get me to where I need to go. Because sometimes you can't go inside the church because we're all,
Right.
I do it
Yeah,
on
I
the go. I got
know.
my YouTube, I got my sermons.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I got Darius Daniels, I got Pastor Mike Jr., I do like Little Miss Sarah Jakes. And then sometimes I do
Yes.
listen to the FCBC New York pastors and stuff there too.
Hmm.
Mr. McClure.
Nice, nice.
I love that they get me to God. But what I
Hmm.
will say is, I'm not going to say which pastor I heard, but he took half
Hmm.
his sermon to talk about his relationship and the different struggles and it kind of got like I felt like we were missing the message. We're missing the
Mm.
mark because we're too
Yeah.
focused on you.
Mm.
What are some ways that you would like for the church to kind of get back to the foundation, which is getting to him above and not getting to
Um,
wherever we're straying to?
yeah, I think recognize like less flesh and more spirit.
Mhm.
Because like anytime you are not only just pastors talking about, cars and clothes and that da, 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 da,
Right.
but like also when you refuse somebody in a church or everybody's staring at them because of how they look or how they're dressed or how they're switching or how they're holding their wrist or how that then you're distracted by flesh. Yeah, you're not paying attention to nobody's spirit. It doesn't matter if they came in there with a tube skirt on and a tube top. Yeah, they came for the same reason you came. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you want them to cover up because you don't want the deacons looking at them. Well, the deacons shouldn't be looking at them.
The deacon should be looking at God when he's talking.
Hello? And that's the problem is some people treat church like a social club and not a hospital.
That's what
That's the problem.
I feel like, because why are you looking at what she got going up? You don't know where she done came from. She probably just came from work,
Hello?
or she probably
Right,
didn't do laundry that day. Because,
right.
hello, we all can attest. Sometimes you didn't do the load, and you gotta go somewhere, you gotta grab some quick out your
Yep,
closet.
yep, yep.
So I agree. I think
And
we
then we
gotta,
got, and then naked we came in this world, and naked we shall leave. I don't care if she came in there naked.
don't
That was
look at what she
literally
got
that
going
was
on.
hello. That was the OG closet right there. We ain't had no other clothes. The Bible ain't say nothing about put clothes on your baby.
And sure did
Your
not.
baby come out naked. We could all, this is the ultimate universe where we all just walk around booty butt naked right now.
And ain't nobody gonna bat an eye.
Ain't no
We just booty out. Okay? Booty and balls
booty
out.
out.
Okay?
Booty out. That because that was how God intended. Okay.
Okay. Before I let you go, Jordan, okay, because we could do this all day.
Mhm.
So, as you think about all the things you have done and everything you're continuing to do, let's say, right, that your life right now had a small intermission.
Mhm.
You're in intermission right now. What is God whispering to you in the lobby right now? I know that was good, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Go harder and go with me.
Okay.
Go harder and go with me. That's
Okay.
it.
That's all you
That,
can do.
yeah. 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 Just like, you know, turning up the heat on everything. I always say that's why I like move like I'm thinking like this rather than like looking back at things sometimes. Like there's so many characters and so many worlds and so many stories in my head that I just cannot wait to share with the world. That I just like cannot wait to offer. Yeah.
Oh my God. I would love to just be in your arsenal. Is there like something that you're like itching to get out? Like, is it like a Broadway play, like a movie or a show where you're like, I want to get this out because I want to start this conversation?
Oh, so many things. Yeah, like a handful of things that just are like I gotta put this out in the world. Like I gotta like give it because what I love about writing is like for me at least is like a lot of times writing is listening. Like
Yes.
it's not me like trying to force words into a character's mouth. It's me asking and listening for what that character is trying to say and listening to what that story is trying to say. Because so often it's a humbling experience because you sit down being like, yeah, I know exactly what this is about and I know what I'm writing. I'm da 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 da. But if you're actually surrendering to your characters, then sometimes you'll end up at a completely different place at the end of what you were writing than you were at the beginning
Yeah.
because they had a journey to take you on just as much as the audience is going to be taking on a journey.
I love
And
it.
so it's like that's what I try to write. It's like the things that I want to watch. Like if I don't want to watch it, then I'm not gonna write it.
Right.
Like it's like I have to like because I believe in serving great food.
I
Great food.
listen, I can't wait to get my plate when you
Come
serve.
on now, come
Okay.
to the cookout.
Hello, I'm already in there. I'm in the back with the cousins, got my little
Okay.
drink, and I'm watching them
Yeah.
playing spades because I can't play. So I
Right,
watch.
right. I saw you dip out that side door to go smoke some weed. I saw your eyes be
I just
red.
took a little Eddie,
Yeah, uh-huh,
Little
uh-huh,
Ed, little
uh-huh.
Camino, nothing
Little
too
Ed
crazy.
Netty.
Little
Some
Ed,
Ed
and Nettie.
Netty.
Okay, little something. Okay, little pineapple habanero Camino.
I
Jordan, I had the best time with you today. Did you have fun with me today?
did, I did. I had a great time.
Listen, fans at home, make sure you are just one, keep streaming all seasons of Miss Pat. Get your behind the Moulin Rouge because you
Yes,
got
to
to see
see
Megan
Meg.
in action.
Yes, yes.
And please keep supporting Jordan. All the projects he continues to do is wonderful, it's beautiful, it's layered, it's nuanced, and it's things that we should be talking about today. So I love you, baby. Thank you for adding to our culture. Thank you for giving
Thank
us the
you.
space and giving us a voice. And just keep killing it, okay?
Thank you. Ditto.